On Global TV News Express, President Tinubu orders probe into killing of woman, 6 children in Kano. In business, federal government allocates below 1% of 2026 budget to fight poverty. On the foreign scene, Syrian government forces consolidate territory after Syrian Democratic Forces clash. In sports, Nigerian Super Eagles earn 3.5 billion naira in AFCON prize pool. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Express on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Mukhtar Kasim. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365, on Star Times channel 276. And now the news in details. President Bola Tinubu has ordered a full investigation into the gruesome killing of a housewife, Fatima Abubakar, and her 6 children at the Chiranchi community in Kano State. In a statement issued by his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the president condemned the attack, describing it as barbaric and condoled with the bereaved family. Tinubu also commended the police for the swift arrest of the principal suspect and directed security agencies to ensure diligent prosecution. Meanwhile, former national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, has condemned the brutal killing of a housewife and her children in Kano State, describing the incident as tragic, inhumane, and deeply disturbing. He said the killings are a painful reminder of the urgent need to protect innocent lives and sustain peace in the society. In a statement issued by his chief of staff, Muhammad Garba, Dr. Ganduje expressed deep sorrow over the incident and extended condolences to the bereaved family and residents of Dorai Chiranchi community in Gwali local government area, noting that such acts threaten communal harmony and must not be allowed to persist. The former Kano State governor commended the Kano State Police Command for its swift response and arrest of suspects linked to the crime, urging security agencies to ensure thorough investigation and diligent prosecution. He also called on residents to support security agencies with timely and credible information to strengthen community safety. In the same statement, Dr. Ganduje also mourned the death of a prominent businessman and community leader, Alhaji Baturi Abdulaziz, describing him as a towering figure in Kano's business community and a former leader of the Canteen Quarry Market Traders Association. He prayed for the repose of the souls of the departed and for continued peace and security in Kano State and the nation at large. Still on the gruesome murder, Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Jibril Barrow, has commended the Kano State Police Command for the arrest of the 3 suspects over the murder of the housewife and her 6 children in Dori Chiranchi quarters of Kano Metropolis. Senator Barrow, in a statement by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Malam Ismail Mudashir, described the arrest as soothing news and called for a speedy trial of the suspect. Senator Barrow commended the command for its swiftness and urged the command to conduct a thorough investigation and ensure a speedy trial so that the culprits are prosecuted and brought to book. Away from the gruesome Kano murder, Vice President Kashim Shettima has arrived in Davos, Switzerland, to lead Nigeria's delegation at the 56th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum. A statement by his senior special assistant on media and communication says the Vice President was received on arrival by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, and officials of the Nigerian mission in Switzerland. The forum, which brings together global political and business leaders, will be held from January 19 to 23, 2026. The federal government says it is set to inject an additional 30 billion naira over the next 3 years to stabilize and rehabilitate the 74 federal universities across the country. In addition to their yearly budget allocation, the Nigerian government also plans to increase budgetary allocation to the education sector to 15% in line with the recommendations of the United Nations Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. These measures form part of the agreement signed between the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, tagged Stabilization and Restoration Fund. The funds will be paid in 3 equal installments of 10 billion naira yearly from 2026 to 2028 and managed by the National Universities Commission. In the meantime, the Federal Ministry of Solid Minerals Development has denied claims by the Northern Elders Forum that the federal government violated the federal character principle by setting up a gold refinery in Lagos State. The ministry made the clarification in a statement issued in Abuja by the Special Assistant on Media to the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Segun Tomori. The statement noted that the allegations misrepresented comments made by the Minister, Dr. Dele Alake, regarding the planned inauguration of a gold refinery project and ongoing reforms in the solid minerals sector. The ministry stressed that the federal government neither owns nor established a gold refinery in Lagos or anywhere else in the country. The federal government has amended the cybercrime charge filed against activist and former African Action Congress presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore over a social media post in which he called President Tinubu a felon. The amended charge was signed by a team of prosecutors led by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Akinolu Kehinde, alongside 2 other SANs who are overseeing the legal proceedings. The revised charge delisted the social media platform X Inc. and Meta platform INC, which were initially named as the second and the third defendants in the case. Workers under the Federal Capital Territory Administration (FCTA) and the Federal Capital Territory Development Authority (FCDA) have embarked on an industrial action, which is an indefinite strike, resulting in the closure of government offices across the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) and its area councils. The strike follows a prior warning issued last Friday. The workers announced to down tools over unresolved labor and welfare-related concerns. The industrial action was initiated by the Joint Union Action Congress (JUAC), which instructed employers at all levels within the FCT public service to withdraw their services. Now, amphibious excavators escorted by armed police have raised hundreds of wooden shacks in Makoko, Lagos State. Makoko is one of Africa's largest floating slums, displacing thousands of residents and sparking fears over the future of this waterfront community. Has the details.
Makoko, home of up to 3,000 people, have long survived without power, water, or proper schools, with residents relying on fishing or informal trade. But as luxury real estate project expands along Lagos shoreline, officials label the shack illegal, while critics accuse the government of clearing land for development. The demolition have upended lives. Many residents report losing homes, shops, and even schools, leaving them unsure of where to go next.
I'm no longer going anywhere because of what is going on. I'm a teacher. I also do some small business, but because of a vision I couldn't do. My house has been demolished. My shop has been demolished. Even the schools where I used to teach, some of them has also been demolished.
Experts say crisis highlights the policy and planning challenges in Lagos, adding that slums are a global phenomenon, not unique to Lagos.
Country where people are living under the bridges, paying as high as 180,000 for a room under the bridges, and for a country where several apartments in the high-end area of the city were vacant. Then there's a disconnection, there's a problem of policy, there's a problem of implementation, there's a problem of government redefining and positioning the market. No one loves to say it's slum. But slum is also not cancer. Slum is a phenomenon all over the world. There's no part of the world that you don't have slum. They have slum in America.
As demolitions continues along Lagos waterways, thousands remain displaced, with residents and experts urging a more balanced approach to urban development and protect vulnerable communities while addressing the city growth pressure. Kabir Hassan, reporting for Global TV News.
The Nigerian Meteorological Agency (NIMET) has forecast a mix of dust haze, sunny conditions and isolated thunderstorms across Nigeria from Monday to Wednesday, with reduced visibility expected in parts of the country. The forecast was contained in NIMET's Weather Outlook released in Abuja. The outlook highlights health, travel and aviation concerns as suspended dust haze particles and intermittent rainfalls are expected. You're watching the live broadcast of News Express. News Express continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Hello and thank you for joining us. Across the country, horizontal visibility is gradually improving, bringing better travel conditions in many areas. Temperatures are also on the rise in most cities, so expect warmer days ahead. However, residents in parts of Kebbi, some parts of Kano, the Federal Capital Territory and Niger State should know that moderate dustly and those with respiratory conditions should limit prolonged outdoor activities. Further south, we are expecting cloudy conditions in the state aviation operator to support safe and efficient operations. And that's the latest weather update. Stay informed and stay safe. Thank you for watching.
And now to business news, where the federal government plans to spend about 206.5 billion naira on poverty alleviation projects of the proposed 58.47 trillion naira total expenditure submitted to the National Assembly. A review of the 2026 appropriation bill shows that all poverty-related allocations across ministries, departments and agencies, including the service-wide votes, add up to 206.5 billion naira. This equals roughly 0.35% of the overall federal government spending and about 0.89% of the 23.21 trillion naira capital budget. Still talking business, the National Agricultural Land Development Authority, an agency of the federal government, has received a significant boost in the 2026 appropriation bill with a total allocation of 25 billion naira, up from the 7.43 billion naira in 2025. In 2025, the agency's allocation was entirely for capital expenditure, primarily for land acquisition and clearing, and the purchase of agricultural equipment aimed at increasing food production across the country. Now, there were no separate recurrent costs in the 2025 budget. The 2026 budget, however, shows a more detailed and expansive approach. The recurrent expenditure totals 1.04 billion naira, covering personnel cost of 274.75 million naira and overheads of 763.26 million naira. Dangote Group has signed a contract valued at over $350 million with Indian state-owned Engineers India Limited for 1.4 million barrels per day upgrade. The development was disclosed by Engineers India Limited in a statement released. Now, under the agreement, the firm will serve as the project management consultant and engineering, procurement, and construction management consultant for the expansion. The expansion will be executed through the addition of a second processing train and will focus on the production of Euro VI compliant fuels. And now to news making rounds on the foreign scene. Syrian government forces have consolidated near total control over the country after routing the Syrian Democratic Forces SDF on the battlefield and agreeing to a ceasefire that reshapes power in the north and the east. President Ahmed al-Shara is expected to meet SDF leader Mazloum Abdi, also known as Mazloum Kobani, after a planned meeting was delayed due to bad weather. The talks are seen as a key step in implementing the ceasefire and formalizing the next phase of integration. Now, under the emerging arrangement, the SDF is expected to fully integrate its fighters into the Syrian Arab army, while public infrastructure and services in formerly Kurdish-run areas will be handed over to the federal government. In the meantime, Syria's information minister says it is an important announcement is expected soon on the talks with the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces SDF over a possible ceasefire and integration into the Syrian army. The comments come as Syrian forces report major gains in the north, including the capture of the strategic town of Tabqa during a rapid advance towards Raqqa. The government's push into the Kurdish-run areas follow a decree by President Ahmed al-Shara recognizing Kurdish as a national language. Meanwhile, Syria's army says 4 soldiers were killed in attacks by Kurdish fighters, while the SDF confirms losses but has not released figures. Still on the international scene, Israel forces have wounded several Palestinians across the Gaza Strip after firing on civilians and carrying out air and artillery attacks in what Palestinian officials describe as a nearly daily violation of the ceasefire in place since October. Medical sources say the Israeli drone fire at early hours injured civilians in the Zaytun neighborhood of southern Gaza City. In the south, 2 people, including a young girl, were wounded by Israeli gunfire in Al-Masawi, west of Khan Yunis. The Israeli military also carried out airstrikes on buildings in Rafah, while artillery shellings hit areas east of Jabalia in the north and Tufa neighborhood in Gaza City, further raising concerns over the durability of the ceasefire. And now talking sports, Nigeria Super Eagles have earned a 3.56 naira prize money for finishing third at the 2025 African Cup of Nations following a 4-2 penalty shootout victory over Egypt in the bronze medal playoff in Casablanca. The match ended 0-0 in regulation time, with goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali emerging as the hero, saving 2 spot kicks to secure Nigeria's 9th AFCON third-place finish. Senegal was crowned champions for the 2nd time in their history, edging host Morocco 1-0 after extra time in a dramatic final in Rabat. FIFA President Jean Infantino has condemned some Senegalese players for the unacceptable scenes during the AFCON final in which the eventual champions walked off the pitch in protest at a penalty awarded to Morocco. FIFA President Infantino condemned this in a statement, describing it as unacceptable to abandon the field of play in that manner. Still talking AFCON, Senegal coach Pape Thiaw has apologized following a controversial incident during his team's 1-0 win over host Morocco. Thiaw briefly ordered his players to leave the pitch in protest after a penalty was awarded to Morocco's Brahim Diaz, who had been pulled by Malik Diouf in the box. As Global TV News Express comes to an end, here is a recap of our top stories. On Global TV News Express, we brought to you that President Tinubu has ordered a full investigation into the gruesome killing of a housewife, Fatima Abubakar, and her 6 children at the Chiranchi community in Kano State. In business, the federal government plans to spend about 206.5 billion naira on poverty alleviation projects in the 2026 budget, an amount that represents less than 1% of the proposed 58.7 trillion naira total expenditure submitted to the National Assembly. On the foreign scene, we brought to you that Syrian government forces have consolidated near total control over the country after routing the Syrian Democratic Forces SDF on the battlefield and agreeing to a ceasefire that reshapes power in the north and the east. And from the world of sport, Nigeria Super Eagles have earned 3.56 billion naira for finishing third in the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, following a 4-2 penalty shootout victory over Egypt in the bronze medal playoff in Casablanca. That's it on News Express. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365, on StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms now showing on your screen using our Global TV NG. I am Mukhtar Kasim, saying a very big thank you for watching.